Hello everyone and welcome back to Take Action Tuesday. My name is Lauren Greenleaf. I am a speech therapist and love all things AAC. Each week we dive into some small tips to help you navigate your AAC journey. So today we are going to be talking about a topic that came up in my VIP coaching program related to evaluations and how we know when an evaluation can be done and how we know when we need more information. So if you are interested, let's dive in. All right, so like I mentioned, we are going to be talking about this evaluation piece. And evaluations in general can look very, very different. Just because I do it one way doesn't mean that somebody else is going to do it another way. And then also even just within the client themselves, the kid themselves, the adult themselves, the evaluation is going to look a little bit different. There may be more device use initially in the start with some kids, and then there may be more initiations in device use as time goes on through a trial. So there's really like this navigation piece that you kind of got to work through and understand that independence and autonomy in it, it's all going to look a little bit different. But what I really want to talk about today is this idea of when to know when an evaluation is done. So the conversation that got brought up in my coaching program was about a particular student that was trialing AAC, and they had been trialing it for over a year, kind of like just in the speech sessions. They weren't sure. They were using a couple different types and they had data to support it, but they weren't really sure it was the right fit for the kid. So what I want to talk about today is kind of how do I navigate that situation. It's when do we make the call that it's time to pursue a different device, or when do we make the call that it's time to just get that funding done and just get that device done. And my recommendation to my VIP members was that we need to really consider these two components. We need to consider first the device. Is the device the right fit for the student? But then we also have to consider the piece of, if we don't move this process along, what's the downfall to it? And ultimately, the downfall in this situation is that that student doesn't have access to communication outside of that speech room for an extended period of time. And when you start to look at it this way, that really perfect device that fits the student becomes less important, and it becomes more important that we are providing some access to communication outside of our speech rooms during that evaluation. So kind of to break this down even a little bit more for you, what I really want you to understand is that we do want to feature match. We do want to look, we do want to see what features support our students. We want to look at the differences in the apps and see if one is going to benefit that individual more than another. This can be done in a relatively quick manner. It does not take years to get through this process. What we want to look at is we want to look at those big differences between apps. So some of the things I'm thinking, like LAMP is an incredibly motor-based system. Like that motor planning piece is what makes LAMP unique. Touch Chat is that very category-based system, but it is one of the few systems that allows you to embed videos. So maybe you have a Gestalt language processor and videos may be really helpful for this individual. That would be something that would kind of make you go towards that system. Or you might be looking at TD Snap and you might really be interested in those behavior supports that are embedded in there. They have like the visual schedules and they have the first thens and they have the timers, and it can connect to Board Maker. So there's lots of unique components there to TD Snap. And then if you're looking at Proloquo to Go, these are just kind of the major apps that I see most frequently. But if you're looking at Proloquo to Go, they have a lot of customization availability. You can really manage the system in a lot of customizing ways, like changing the grid size really easily on different pages, making lists, changing the color coding system and like how the buttons appearance-wise show up. So you're going to look at those different factors. Like those are 4 very distinct components of those AAC devices. Would one benefit your student over the other? look at those. But then don't take data for a year. Get the information and figure out what's best. And sometimes you won't be able to figure out what's best, and you're going to have to make an educated guess. And to me, making an educated guess is more important than finding the perfect system. If it's going to take you months or years to find the perfect system, for me, it is more important that the kid has a device in their hand to communicate in a variety of contexts versus having that exact particular system. Because the reality is a lot of these major systems out there have really similar capabilities. They all are robust. They all have access to a keyboard. They can all embed phrases. They have lots of word types. It's really coming down to those minute differences. And in the grand scheme of it, those minute differences can be really important, but communication is really important too. We want to give access to communication. So a lot of times I think that you can work with whatever system you pick, and you can make that system a really perfect system for your client if you just start. So for all of those perfectionists that are listening today, I know this is hard, and I know you want to make the right decision, and the right decision is important, but so is getting communication in their hand. So if that right decision is going to take you a really, really long time, it is more important that a communication device is in that individual's hand so that they can start learning it and start navigating their communication world outside of your therapy room. I will also add, just because you pick something doesn't mean down the road you might find something that fits better. There are lots of adult AAC users who use multiple systems. They use Proloquo to Go. They use TD Snap. They use LAMP for different contexts and different situations. So we're not pigeonholing ourselves into this one option. We have the option to change things as we need it. Obviously, we want to stick with the same thing so that we can teach it and the kid can learn it. We're not going to change every 3 months just because we want to know. But keep in mind that communication is important. We want that communication piece there. Getting a device is important too. Look at the factors, but don't let that be the thing that prevents you from getting a communication system for that kid. And remember, things can change. Just because you pick something today doesn't mean 3 years from now you might find something better. Heck, they may even have new stuff out here in a few years that could be even better. So stop limiting yourself and stop limiting the kid by feeling the need to get this perfect. Get communication in their hand, get that learning process started, and really support their ability to talk and communicate and navigate their environment. So that is my pep talk for you today. Don't wait, get that communication out there, and I will see you next week.